Hey y'all, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel for my VIB sale haul. Probably goes without saying, I'm making this video because it did some damage, so I just wanted to share my thoughts. If you're new to the channel, the way I like to do hauls is actually share my thoughts. It's less of an unboxing and just kind of showing the product, but I like to share my thoughts on them, do tutorials when I can, and really give kind of detailed mini reviews. So it is longer maybe than your average haul, but it is super information packed, and if it gets to be too long, I will probably put timestamps down below so you can jump ahead if you know something's coming up in the video and you don't want to sit through whatever I'm currently blabbing about. So definitely be sure to check the description below, but let's go ahead and dive in. First, let's start with, well, it might make most sense to start with what I'm wearing. So first up is the Huda Beauty eyeshadow palette. It is technically called the Textured Shadows Palette Rose Gold Edition. There is only one out from her brand right now though, so it's the only edition, but it happens to have a rose gold motif going on. The packaging, by the way, I've seen this featured a couple times in videos, people using it tutorials, and I couldn't really tell what the packaging was. It looks like a Z palette, but I wasn't sure if this was plastic or cardboard or what. So here's the deal. It's a solid feeling cardboard magnetic palette, but then obviously it has this transparent front. It is a hard plastic though. Some of the Z palettes, if not all of Z palettes, have sort of a flimsier plastic here, and sometimes I feel like that can give and stretch a little as I pack them and throw them in makeup bags and things, and so I do feel like the palettes might get, or the shadows, powders inside in general, might suffer from that one day, but this is a very hard plastic material and it allows you to see, you know, the shadows inside. However, the one downside because of that is it doesn't have a mirror, and this is a nice enough size palette to where it might actually be useful to have one. It's like it would be a nice size mirror up in there. Packaging aside though, this guy retails for $65 and it is kind of up there for shadow palettes, not really considering it's in the prestige, you know, arena, but especially when you consider that it contains 18 eyeshadows, I think that's a pretty fair deal. And so a breakdown of that when you look inside is that you get 6 metallic shadows. Most of them are up here on the top. Basically the top 5 here are the metallic, and then this one here is metallic as well, and then 2 pressed pearls, these 2 over here on the side, and then the rest are matte shades, 10 matte shades. Which I thought was kind of interesting because unlike a lot of palettes where you have sort of a gradient between totally matte, satin, shimmer, glitter, you really just cut straight through it. You either have all matte shades, you have 2 pearl shades that are very intensely pearlescent. There is no mistaking them for a satin or, you know, a shimmer. They are very pearlescent. Angelic is a duochrome gold and pink. I'm wearing that on my eyes right now. In fact, I should have a demo running through what I'm wearing on my eyes right now because it's all this. And then the rest are these metallic shades, which are super interesting because they're kind of like the Makeup Geek foiled shadows in that they have a creamy, like an almost creamy texture, despite the fact that, you know, they look and act like a powder. They, to the touch, feel like a cream texture. So you are supposed to apply them with your fingers, not with a brush, to get maximum color payoff. And I find that when I apply those metallic shades with my finger, rose gold is actually all over my lid right now. I find when I apply them with my fingers, they come off with the intensity similar to that of the Touch in Sol Metalist Liquid Foil and Glitter Shadow Duo. Basically a long name for something that's like super intense metallic finish across your lids. Like, these are the metallic shades in here and this are comparable, except this takes way less time and steps. These are also very similar to the Stila pressed. It's like their foiled equivalent where it's like this pot, you have to put a mixing medium in, make it like a foiled texture and then apply it, wait for it to dry, etc., etc. And even those, and this guy as well, you do have to worry about getting it a little too heavy so it doesn't crease on your lid. Because these are easily built up, you can get anything from kind of a sparse smattering of like glitter and sparkle across your lid to a full-on metallic foil effect with pretty great ease. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of working with these guys, as you'll see in the demo here, to get super high shine intensity. So needless to say, I am in love with that texture, but I'm also pretty impressed with the mattes as well. It's not my favorite matte texture, but it's by no means bad. I haven't experienced any dragging or patchiness or dryness with any of these. It's a good matte texture. It's just not as velvety soft as some others that I am actually going to talk about later in this video. But it's a really good matte formula for the price and given the variety that you get. Speaking of variety though, it's pretty pink leaning, and not everyone's going to feel comfortable wearing these pinks and mauves, and like this is really borderline red down here. But you do also get a solid base of neutrals, like these down here, Sandalwood, Henna, Blessed in Dubai are these ultra neutral, even like Dubai is very cool leaning for a gold up here. And then your classic cream and like this suede, which is, you know, cooler taupe, and black truffle, which is a classic matte black. You do get your core neutrals in here, but this palette just crushes it with the amazing pinks and rose golds. And I wanted to show how wearable it is because so many of them, especially when I was first starting with makeup, pinks intimidated me so much because it's so easy to wear pinks and reds around the eyes and they make you look sick. So I think a lot of these shades include more neutral undertones to keep them grounded, but they still have those pinky rosy hues to them to make this palette stand out. So needless to say, I am in love, also because I have a day job, and so for as much as I love these, you know, super metallic shades up here, I don't always feel like I can wear something like this to work during the day. And these allow that buildable texture to where I can put it on and it's still opaque, but a very subtle metallic finish, or I can really build it up and have like an ultra glittery vibe kind of going on. And so I do appreciate that about this palette, that it really is more versatile in the way of a day to night transformation, as opposed to buying one product like this and only being able to use it when you go out at night. That is, of course, if you are like me and not super comfortable wearing those, you know, at the daytime in the office or wherever it is, whatever your daytime gig is. Something else to consider if you're thinking, oh, I won't really wear these. They are that buildable to where there is a spectrum. You can just put a little bit on to have a hint of shimmer, or you can go full glam and do everything in between. So those are my thoughts on that guy. The other product or kind of set that I got from Huda Beauty was the lip contour set. I love her eyeliners. Lip liners. Love her lip liners. Have two of them. Talked about them in a Sephora haul, probably two back at this point, but really fell in love with the formula for how creamy and long lasting and non-drying they are. Like, they floored me with how unlike any other lip liner they were, as far as being soft and very blendable, but super opaque and non-drying. That's besides the point. It's what motivated me to buy this, but in this, you not only get an eyeliner. Why do I keep saying eyeliner? Lip liner. You get a lip liner and two of her liquid matte lipsticks, basically. These are not full size, but you do get a full size lip liner, is what we're talking about right now. And then I got Trophy Wife and Muse. Those are the colors that come in here. There are a couple of different color selections to choose from, but I love me a good berry, especially going into fall. Naturally, I'm like adorned head to toe in rosy berry shades, but this is the one that I went with. So the gist here, and there's actually a step-by-step on the back for her kind of signature lip contouring trick. And basically you take the lip liner, you go around the perimeter of the lips, and then you kind of cut your lips down the middle with that lip line as well. Then you will take a matching liquid lipstick, apply it to the remaining portion of the lips just to fill in the rest, and then you'll go in with the shade just a hair lighter for this shade selection, that is Muse, and you apply that just to the center of the lips, and then they suggest you use your fingers or a brush to blend that out into the rest of the color in your lips. That's all I'm wearing on my lips right now today. I have to admit I was a little nervous after ordering the set because I kid you not, shortly after ordering it, I had just uploaded my favorites video where I talked about the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer that I can't stand the scent of, and a lot of you guys said you felt the same way about these liquid lip mattes. Like, I didn't even bring them up, but you said, oh, that reminds me, the only other product I feel that way about are these guys. And so I will say I'm not too offended. The odor there's a tinge of like chemicaliness in there, like there's a sharpness to it, but for the most part they're vanilla scented. It's the taste that I notice the artificial chemicaliness. Just making up words here. It's not overwhelming. I definitely find it goes away super quickly, especially compared to that Physicians Formula bronzer, but it is something to be aware of. You guys are totally right that there is just something a little off about the taste specifically, and so if you're particularly sensitive to that, these might not be right for you. But as far as price goes and like the amount of product you get, the variety of product, you know, you get the matching lip liner and liquid matte. Are they just called liquid mattes? That must just be what they're called. Liquid matte lipsticks, as well as the complementary lighter shade to contour. I think it's a really great value. But I do want to say, I'm not sure all these steps are necessary, especially if you have a matching lip liner and liquid lipstick. you really can't, there's no difference to me from what I've done in terms of filling in your lips with a lip liner, then going over top with a liquid lipstick versus doing this whole step-by-step thing. For me, the thing that makes the major difference is putting that lighter shade in the center, and then you're good to go. But there's nothing that says you have to do this step-by-step. At the end of the day, you get the 3 products and can do with them what you will. Up next is, I don't even know the word, my dream purchase. Do you ever, when you do these, when you make a big purchase like this, is there ever that one product that you've just like been lusting after for so long, or the brand, you've been eyeing a certain product from the brand for so long that when you finally get to hit the purchase and like confirm purchase button, you're like, yes! This was that product for me. It's the Natasha Denona Star Palette, and I have been dying to try her shadows. Like, I think I have put the big like monster palettes that she has in my cart at least 20 times over the course of the year after seeing people review them and rave about their quality. They have been in and out of my cart on multiple different websites, multiple different times. And so she launched this palette. I liked it because there are slightly less shadows. Like, realistically, I'm never going to make it through all the shadows in the other palette, but I love the idea of variety. And so when she launched this slightly smaller palette that still offered that same variety and promised a new formulation, I believe, I was all about this. So here it is in all of its glory. It has, I mean, it's, I'm sure a lot of you are aware, has the fancy schmancy, it's like a faux or maybe a real leather exterior, probably a faux leather exterior. Open it up, you have a decent sized mirror here. You have the shadow names overlaid. Some of you might love and care about that, some of you might not. I personally like it because a lot of times you guys ask what I'm wearing, and so it's helpful to have that there. Otherwise, like when they're detached, they come detached from the palette, I will more likely than not chuck them because they're more cumbersome than anything. And then this way, this is a protector against the mirror, because sometimes when you have the mirror in the palette, it's like you open it up and the mirror is rendered useless because it's coated in shadow. So it's kind of a two-fold sort of tool in here. Bottom line is though, I like it. Then in the underside, you have the warm side, the kind of cooler, definitely overwhelmingly pinky mauvey leaning side. So I feel like I kind of repeated myself by getting both this and the Huda Beauty, but good thing I love me some berries because I got a lot of them. The other thing this palette has is a great mix of textures. You got some, actually let me look and see for sure what they are called. The finishes are crystal eyeshadows, like for instance, this guy up here is a crystal texture. Then there is a creamy matte, duh, like any of the mattes in here. And last, there is a metallic eyeshadow like Bellatrix. Let me point out, oh, Bellatrix is this guy, a metallic eyeshadow. Oh, and then there is a duochrome, 2 duochromes. One is this Orion shade, which is a pretty classic green brown, and then the other is Galaxia, I think it's how you pronounce it. And it's this really cool like pink undertone with a teal shift. Very, very cool metallic duochrome. I also want to give you a size reference because I do think there is a lot of value to be had, despite the fact that it is, I mean, it's pretty expensive for an eyeshadow palette. There's no getting around it, but when you look at the shadow size, I believe the Natasha Denona are over 2 times as big by weight, by the actual weight of shadow that you get, more than 2 times as big as those you get from the Huda Beauty palette. That's really where the comparison ends. I mean, yes, there are some pinks and berries over here, but for the most part, they are very different palettes. And so I'm just gonna continue talking about this one for a little bit. Basically, I love the texture of the mattes. I will say I don't feel like all of them are true mattes. A couple of the satin shade, or a couple of the matte shades in here have what I consider to be a definite satin finish. Not a bad thing, but just something to be aware of if you're like, oh, I'm getting a true, like this chocolate brown right here, like that has a definite, you can even see it on the camera, it has a definite sheen over something like this chocolate brown that's pretty definitively matte as far as how the light reflects off of it. So something to consider there, but the formula is beautiful across the board. And then the metallic shades and the duochrome shades, because in my mind they are also hyper metallic, they're more like pressed pigments and not in a Huda Beauty kind of way. These feel and read more like cream texture on the fingers as you're applying them, how you work with them. These are very much powders. I would recommend and almost insist you have a mixing medium to work with them and get full pigmentation because they are powder. I mean, they have a lot of, you can see around here, there's a lot of fallout around these shadows because they truly act like pressed pigments as opposed to the creamy texture that Huda Beauty has. While to some people it might seem like it requires one extra step to getting you to like Huda Beauty level metallic finish. It kind of gives you a little bit more versatility in a way, because if you were just to use these, say with your fingers without a mixing medium, you get something more like this, where it's more of a high shine, like clearly a powder as opposed to a foil finish. So it does add an extra level of versatility, I feel, because they are that powdery finish as opposed to the kind of creaminess of the Huda Beauty. So it mostly comes down to a matter of preference and how you prefer to use these and what is going to work best for you. Because all in all, I like it. No regrets here. It was a big purchase. I was ecstatic to make the purchase, and I'm ecstatic to have it in my hands because it's just a really great mixture of textures and colors. One other product from Natasha Denona that I got was the Magic Primer Anti-Shine Flawless Face Base. This I got really just to try. I'm not big into the primer scene because I don't feel like they help. The one primer that I really like is the one from Makeup Forever as a mattifying primer. Really works for me, but a lot of you guys have said it kind of balls up on your skin, doesn't work, makes foundation lay unevenly, and just in general, it's kind of crap for your skin. So I wanted to give this a go, and overall I do feel like it has a much smoother, thinner texture. The one thing about the Makeup Forever, it was like a borderline paste when you took it out onto your fingers and kind of dabbed and blended it in. I found I really had to pat it in as opposed to smear because that would lend itself to uneven application. This guy is a little bit thinner, I wouldn't say a lot, but noticeably thinner than the Makeup Forever, and so it made it a little bit easier to apply, but I noticed it dried down really fast. It creates kind of this cooling sensation, whether on purpose or not. I just noticed the cooling and then a really fast dry time. So it doesn't give you a whole lot of time to work with it, but I did notice that thinner texture lending itself better to blending more evenly. And then as far as efficacy goes, I mean, it worked. I was able to wear some of those more dewy foundations that I love the finish of when I first put it on, but not so fond of at the end of the day. Was able to wear those and not feel like a total grease ball at the end of the day. Totally attribute it to this, especially with the muggy, not muggy, but like rainy weather we've been having. It's inevitable on my oily combo skin that the foundations that I start off dewy at the beginning of the day are going to turn into a mess, and this really helped prevent that. And then the last product I got was actually a hair tool. Very unlike me, I am not a hair tool shopper, but you know, I've been having a good hair day for like the past couple months now that most of my hair is not mine. These are tape-in extensions. I just did a video all about it if you're interested, but yeah. Now that my hair actually behaves the way I want it to, I'm far more into styling it than I have been in the past. Go figure. So, like, I still don't know what about this set appealed to me and what made me put it in my cart, but I have been freaking loving it. It's the Amika Blowout Babe Interchangeable Thermal Brush. You get 3 different brush sizes here, and at first when I saw this online, it really wasn't clear. Did it rotate? Did it not? Like, how do you really use it? And so that kind of made me feeling a little weird that I wasn't 100% sure what I was getting, but love it anyway. You get the 3 kinds of brush heads. You open it up here. This is what you're working with inside. There are 2 of the 3 barrels. The one is actually hooked up into the actual iron, so you'll be able to see that in the demo. And the sizes of them are the 1.8-inch barrel, the one that I've been using. This is barrel for a sleek, smooth blowout, 1.5-inch barrel for a voluminous curled look, and 1.2-inch barrel for soft, loose waves. And the premise is basically that you use this on dry hair just like you would a round brush for blowout-esque waves. So here is the actual tool, much like a lot of flat irons or curling wands with interchangeable barrels. Same sort of process here where you twist this little guy here and it will lock into place. Super easy to exchange these. I am using the largest barrel because I really like getting this sort of curl down here, and what I've noticed is it stays. Part of this is due to the fact that I have other hair in my head that behaves much better than my natural hair, so naturally it is going to adhere to that shape a little bit better. But guys, it's not like my natural hair is misbehaving any. I mean, it's following the shape and holding this shape all day when I use this guy. So basically you'll see this in the demo, but I run it through my head, I run it through my hair. The barrel does not turn, so luckily this the cord here is free on the end, so you can twist and turn it however you need to adjust it in your hair without worrying about getting just that gnarled kind of cord at the end. So that's really nice. I'm really excited. I wish I've had a chance to try the other barrels because I'm excited to see what other styles I can get, but I'm just so far super pleased with how well this curls my hair, how well my hair takes and holds the curl, and how fast it is. Like, this thing heats up really quickly. I find that unlike a curling iron, because it has the actual bristles here, I don't need to worry so much about where I set it. It's kind of a natural, you know, like built-in protectant. And it's so fast to use. Like, the clip you're gonna see, it's gonna be sped up just so it fits in this time frame, but it took 4 minutes to do my entire head. And granted, it's not a complex style, but to go from hair that looks, you know, like I just woke up, kind of unkempt and frizzy, to sleek and, you know, rounded at the ends and actually styled looking, I think that's huge for me. So I've really been loving this and think I will get a lot of good out of it. So that's it for me, guys. Really hope you enjoyed this video. Would love to hear what you have picked up, are planning on picking up from the Sephora VIB haul. Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in my next video, guys. Bye!